Hey guys, Mitchell Jacob here, your favorite candidate for the United States Congress, running for Congress in Oklahoma for Oklahoma's 4th, and I'm running to unseat Tom Cole. I'm gonna get started here around 7:05. So what I'd like to do right now is while we're about to get started, and I'm going to start with a personal anecdote today. So if you'd like to hear more about my 1,000-mile bike ride through the desert back in 2015, then we're going to start with that. But go ahead, text your friends, family, mom, brother, sister, cousin, and have them join this discussion tonight, because democracy only works whenever we listen to and hear all voices. And I certainly care what you have to say tonight. So go ahead, bring some people in. Let's have a more robust, more diverse, more inclusive conversation together. So again, reach out to a friend or family member, invite them to come join this conversation tonight. We're going to cover a number of topics, from some of my beliefs to some of the things that I plan to do as soon as you elect me into the United States Congress. And again, I'm going to start tonight with a personal anecdote about a trip that I took 11 years ago now. My goodness. It's hard to believe that so much time has passed, but looking forward to sharing that story with you and telling you a little bit more about myself, my background, some of the things that I've done in life. And then I'm really looking forward to getting to answer some of your questions and hear about the things that are most important to you, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. I might be running for the United States Congress, but it is the 800,000 or so of you that will make a decision on who will represent this district in Washington, D.C. And that can only happen whenever somebody actually takes the time to listen to you, your concerns, your questions, and more importantly than that, perhaps, is address them. Because it is one thing to hear someone, and it's another thing to care what they say. And to be quite, just to say it simply, I really care what you have to say tonight. So go ahead and reach out. Send me your questions, your comments, your thoughts, so that we can have a robust and engaged discussion. Again, I'm going to get started here in just a minute. Go ahead and text a friend, family, colleague, coworker, someone in your life who you think would benefit by being part of this conversation, so that we can have a more robust conversation. Because I truly do care what you think, what you have to say, what you believe in, and what you want to see changed for the better right here in the good old United States of America. I see people coming in and out, so happy to see it. Again, hope you're inviting someone. Let's all join for this ride, because this is far too important for just one or two voices to be a part of our democratic process. As you can see what's going on in our country right now more than ever, we need more people to get involved in the political process, to exercise their voice, to cast a ballot, and ultimately to help me hold this administration accountable. Because I can't do it without your help, and I certainly can't do it without your vote. So go ahead, drop your questions in the chat, whether you're on TikTok, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, wherever you may be watching. I'm really glad you're joining tonight, and I'm really glad that we get to have this conversation together. So I guess I'll just go ahead and jump in really quickly, tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to start with a personal anecdote that I went through back in 2015. So again, my name is Mitchell Jacob. I'm running for the United States Congress, and I'm running for Oklahoma's 4th District to help Tom Cole retire. In fact, I encourage you, go to retiretom.com right now and take a look at what we're doing to make a difference right here in Oklahoma. So the anecdote I'd like to start with this evening is about my bicycle ride through the Mojave and Sonoran deserts back in 2015. Around that time, my brother, one of my brothers, I'm one of 9 children, but he got sick and went through a series of surgeries and things in his life. And during that time, I was working in a cubicle farm as a stockbroker. And just one day, I couldn't do it anymore, knowing that I'm just sitting here in this soul-sucking cubicle farm, making rich people more money while my family struggled, and specifically while my brother was sitting in a hospital dealing with things. So whenever we got past that and he was stable, I quit my job. I sold all my possessions. I bought a bicycle. I joined a charity, and I just started riding through the desert. I started in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I started riding west, which, a little bit of sage advice, if you're going to start in the summer, you're supposed to start Route 66 in Chicago, not in the desert. Learned that the hard way, and we'll get into that in 1 second. But I just started riding west toward the ocean, and I just slept on the side of the road, and I just cycled 70 to 90 miles per day. Had to buy water every single day, just bought food as I went. Little quick tip in life, if you want to drop 20 pounds really quickly, then just cycle through the desert, because I lost 20 pounds in 8 days. Concerned my doctor quite a bit, but I kept at it, and I was able to ultimately ride 1,000 miles. And the whole point behind that was I was raising money for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America, and I was able to raise about $5,000 during that ride. I was just blogging every single day. I still have that handle on Instagram, Travel with Mitch. Never got rid of the handle, but clearly I am no longer sleeping on the side of the desert as I go through it. But it was an incredible experience. Taught me a lot about myself, about what I'm capable of, about the limits of my humanity, and the limits of my mortality in many ways. I did have one close encounter that I do recall. I was literally in the middle of nowhere, and I ran out of water. And as you can imagine, I was having to purchase about 5 or 6 gallons every single morning. But what we don't think about when we hear those numbers is that was an additional 50 to 60 pounds of water that I was having to load up on every day. So one morning, like a doofus, I only went with 3 gallons of water. And so around 3 p.m., I was out of water. I was dehydrated, I was thirsty, and I found the only tree that I had seen in hours and hours and hours. And I was sitting there wondering, what am I going to do when it almost feels like a scene from a movie, when this van comes along, and it was a van for a chicken restaurant, and he stops and was like, "You need some help, man?" I was like, "I just need a ride to the nearest gas station so that I can get some water." Turns out he was the mayor of one of the local towns, owned one of their only fast food restaurants, which I can no longer remember what it was, but it was a fast food chicken joint. And so I got to ride in a van full of chicken with delicious smell and talk to one of the most interesting people I've ever met, the mayor of Amboy, Arizona, California, I forget offhand, but the mayor of Amboy. And that was a very interesting time. But good news, didn't die, made it through my trip, and I am glad to be with you here today. Well, thanks for listening. Let's go ahead and get started. So again, my name is Mitchell Jacob. I'm running for the United States Congress, and I'm your favorite candidate for Oklahoma's 4th District. I'm running to help Tom Cole choose to retire. And if you want to learn more about that, I encourage you, go ahead and go to retiretom.com and see everything that we're doing to help him retire and let one of the people, someone like you and someone like me, hold that seat again. There are 3 primary planks that I'm campaigning on as I go around the district and the 14 counties that are comprise CD4. Number 1, and I can't believe that I have to say this in 2026, but my number 1 plank is strict adherence to the United States Constitution. The United States Constitution is the founding document for the United States of America, and the United States Constitution sets the limit of the federal government's power. But it seems that this administration has taken it such that the Constitution sets the line at which this administration begins to push the bounds of power. We have deployed U.S. troops to United States cities. We have masked men of terror. First, they were just patrolling the streets of the United States. Now, apparently, they're also patrolling on your taxpayer dime, by the way, the airports of the United States. And if you've seen any of the videos, I cannot see what it is that they are helping, because they are not helping TSA. They are not moving traffic through those airports. They are just cosplaying in the lobbies of these major airports. We are incarcerating American citizens by ICE. We have not declared. We are bombing Iran without a declaration of war from Congress. We have kidnapped a sitting president. That was the president of Venezuela and his wife. And so on and so forth. There's just so many examples of this blatant unconstitutionalism of this administration as they believe, as Mr. Trump believes, that he has unlimited power and that the United States, that the world will bow to his whims and his will. And we know that that's not true, because the United States has no kings. My friends, in case you believe that to be true, that the United States has no kings, then I encourage you this Saturday to go protest. It's a nationwide protest for No Kings, and if you are right here in Oklahoma, they will be in Lawton, Pauls Valley, Norman, Oklahoma City, Ada, Ardmore. I'm certain that I have missed plenty in there, but there are so many protests happening across the country, across this state, and even across this district. In fact, I would bet good money that in your county or one of your neighboring counties, there was a No Kings protest to which you personally are invited, and I encourage you to go. You will find me in Pauls Valley, and then in Sulphur, and then I'll be speaking in Norman in the late evening on the 28th, this Saturday, during the No Kings protest. Number two for me, my second plank of this Constitution, is fiscal discipline. I don't know if you know this, but the United States currently owes $39 trillion in debt. Here's why that concerns me so much, a variety of reasons. Number one, it took the United States 200 years to borrow our first $1 trillion. And then here in the last, we're at 10 years now, in the last 10 years, we have borrowed 22 trillion more dollars. In fact, we now owe so much money that the United States spends every single year in just interest on our debt more than $1 trillion. So what took us 200 years to borrow, we now spend every single year just paying the interest on our debt. And that $1.2 trillion per year that we're spending, by the way, does not reduce our debt. It simply keeps paying the interest. It is called net interest payments. Here are a couple of statistics that alarm me and the reason that I made that the number two plank of this campaign. Number one, and I've done the math, 1 month's interest payment on the United States federal government's debt would fund the entire state of Oklahoma and all of our agencies and operations for 8 years. That is a ratio of 1 to 96 when we look at interest payment for 1 month to 1 year of operations for, 8 years of operations for our great state of Oklahoma. That is your children and your grandchildren's future that we are hemorrhaging every single month. Number two, this month, March of 2026, the United States Treasury just released a report showing that as a result of passing the One Big Beautiful Bill back in July of 2025, that the United States is officially, as a country, insolvent. And what that means is if we were a company or a person, we would be bankrupt. Insolvent country means that we are obligated every single month, or perhaps year, however you want to look at it, to spend more money on our obligations than we rake in revenue. At this time, the United States is obligated to pay more than $6.5 trillion per year, and we are continuing to cut funding. And those tax breaks are not trickling down to you and me. I want to make that clear. We are giving tax breaks to billionaires. We're giving tax breaks to corporations. But we are not giving tax breaks to the American people. And this would be one conversation if all of these cuts were going to benefit you, your family, and improve the lives of the everyday Americans who are working so hard to create a better life for themselves and their family. But that is not what is happening. Instead, we are giving your money away to billionaires who are already, by the way, billionaires. We're giving your money away to corporations, which are already, by the way, worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And in fact, Elon Musk, Doge himself, is on track to become the world's first trillionaire as a result of a deal that he has worked out with, what's the name of that company? Tesla, and that the compensation package that he is trying to get through then would make him the world's first trillionaire. And he, by the way, receives more than $300 million per day in government contracts. So think about what we're doing here. We're saying that we're going to give tax breaks to the wealthiest among us, paid for by everyone else, essentially, and we're willing to bankrupt the United States to do it. That is not a government that is serving the people, and that's why I'm here, because I believe in fiscal discipline. I believe that every single dollar that the United States government is spending of your taxpayer money should benefit the greatest number of Americans possible. And I believe that at the end of the day, the government serves the people, not the corporations and not the billionaires. And my friends, the third plank of my campaign is that it's time to treat education, public schools, like an investment, not an expense. It seems that too many politicians focus on the expense of education. And while it is absolutely paramount that we raise enough money, we balance our budgets, etc., that's true. What we know to be true is that our children are an investment. Any investment that takes 25 years to grow up into an adult is going to take time to realize a return on that investment. But the way that we address that is not by cutting and cutting and cutting and leaving our children uneducated, unable to read, write, and do basic arithmetic, and unable to participate in a rapidly changing modern workforce. Instead, we invest in them because at the end of the day, over a lifetime, a career of earnings, they will absolutely pay far more in taxes than we will ever dream of spending on their education. And it seems that right now our goal is simply to leave Americans uneducated, unable to recognize when their constitutional rights are being violated or even just taken away from them entirely. Because right now there's that debate in the Senate right now about the SAVE Act, for example. But let's look at what the SAVE Act actually does, because I read the entire bill. And the SAVE Act does nothing new. It is already a crime. It is already illegal for someone to cast a fraudulent ballot. It is already illegal for non-citizens of the United States of America to cast a ballot in any election, whether federal or local. That is already a crime. So the SAVE Act does not make anything new. Let me rephrase that. The SAVE Act is not actually accomplishing anything new. What it is doing is suppressing your right to vote. And that is the issue. It is your constitutional right as a member of these United States, of this democracy, to cast a vote. And whether you choose to exercise that right and cast that vote is your decision, not the federal government's decision, because we know that the SAVE Act is going to marginalize women disproportionately if it goes into law, because it will say that if your name on your ID does not match your birth certificate or social security card or whatever it is, then you can't register to vote. And so we just think about that for 2 seconds and we recognize that anyone who's been married and changed their last name will have to go re-register to vote. And the documents that are required are not the typical documents. Your birth certificate is not sufficient. Your social security card is not sufficient. Your standard driver's license is not sufficient. It requires a real ID, which most people, we know that fewer than 40% of Oklahomans, for example, have a real ID in the state of Oklahoma. That will suppress so many votes. Or it requires a passport, and the rate of passport issuance in Oklahoma is significantly lower than 40%. I will tell you that right now. So this will not accomplish anything new, but it seems like we're dismantling the federal Department of Education. We're underfunding our public schools. We are underfunding teachers. We are removing textbooks and turning our public education system into government-funded daycare, just so that this government can try to take and take and take and hope that the population will not recognize it. Well, my friends, I'm here to tell you quite simply that I am here to fight for your rights, whatever they may be. And if you have questions on how I would do that or doubts as to why I would do that, allow me to say this quite simply. I'm a public defender. I spend every single day walking into a courtroom to embody the Sixth Amendment right to counsel for some of our nation's ignored and some of the most vulnerable Americans among us, because I believe in your constitutional right. I believe in this Constitution, and I will fight tooth and nail to protect your constitutional rights simply because they are your constitutional rights. I do not need anything more than that to want to fight on your behalf. When I enlisted in the United States Army, I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And when I swore my oath of attorney, I swore a very similar oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And I hold true to those oaths because they do not come with an expiration date. They do not only exist so long as it is convenient for me to keep fighting for them. I believe in fighting for them because they are yours, because I believe in this democracy, I believe in this country, and I believe in her future, though I do have deep disappointments in what is going on currently. But we can change that, but we must do it now, The United States is insolvent. We have an out-of-control federal government that is deploying troops, deploying federal agents, deploying militarized police officers all across this country. And it seems that we are ruling by edict, by dictate, from gunpoint in many ways, instead of ruling by the majority, by governance, through democracy. And so I will not rest until that is done. And again, just a quick shout out. This Saturday is the National No Kings protest. That'll be March 28th, excuse me. And if you don't live in the United States, then you can go to, I believe it's Indivisible. I'm sorry, in Oklahoma is what I meant to say. But if you live in Oklahoma, you can check Mobilize. Mobilize is probably your best bet, honestly, in Oklahoma to find one near you. And if you live in CD4, I know that there will be No Kings protests on this Saturday in Pauls Valley, in Lawton, in Ardmore, in Ada, in Oklahoma City, in Norman, in there are probably more. There are so many. I don't want to lead you in Sulphur, for example. And you can come protest with me at 9 a.m. in Pauls Valley. You can come protest with me at noon in Sulphur, or you can come protest with me at 3:30 in Norman, Oklahoma. I know Norman's is going to be at Legacy Park, but I don't have my calendar in front of me right now to go over the locations of the others. But I encourage you, if you live in Oklahoma, go to mobilize.us. mobilize.us, and you can find a No Kings rally near you. And if you live in the greater United States, then just go to Indivisible's website, and you can find each of those No Kings protests that are going to be near you. I truly hope that you will come and use your voice, exercise your First Amendment right to organize and to petition the government for a right of grievances and redress of your grievances, because this is your United States of America. And I just have a simple question. Are you proud of what the United States of America is doing today? Are you proud that we're dismantling USAID, that we're bankrupting small businesses, that we're bankrupting farmers? Are you proud of masked men of terror patrolling the streets of our cities? Are you proud of those same masked men just patrolling now the lobbies of airports to have troops on the streets of the United States of America? Are you proud of dismantling the Federal Department of Education? Are you proud that this administration of small government is spending more money than we have ever spent historically? We have an exploding federal debt, my friends. We have an out of control federal government. And I'm running because, well, to be quite frank, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm running because this administration has done so much that is unconstitutional. And in fact, I'd like to take this moment to tell you what actually caused me to run in the first place. So very briefly, I actually ran for Oklahoma State House HD20 in 2024, and I lost that race. And I was originally going to run again for that race here in 2026. Then on January 20th of 2025, his first day in office, Donald Trump tried to strip the birthright citizenship, the 14th Amendment birthright citizenship of my three oldest boys with a stroke of a pen. And to be just quite frank and honest, over my dead body, will anybody ever tell me that my boys are not U.S. citizens? This is where they were born. This is where they work. This is where they go to school. This is where they are being raised. And this is where they live. This is where they will always live so long as I'm their father, which to me means forever. And so I dissolved that state committee, state house committee, and I formed this congressional committee. And we officially launched this race, Mitchell Jacob for United States Congress, on August 16th of 2025. And I am proud to still be going strong, doing these virtual town halls with you, doing in-person town halls when and where I can, going to living rooms near you. We have knocked, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe we've knocked somewhere in the ballpark of 3,500 doors, and we're continuing to knock more doors every single day. I know that we have placed 10, 12,000 phone calls. We are doing the work. And I could use your help if you're willing to come join. I'm sitting right here at 300 West Gray in Norman, Oklahoma. That's the campaign headquarters. We door knock, we phone bank, and we could certainly use more volunteers. I could certainly use more volunteers, and I need your help. Whether you can use your time, again, door knock and make phone calls with us. Your talent, do you have a special skill Are you a CPA? Are you a coder? Are you a network engineer? Are you a rocket scientist? Whatever it is, if you have a special skill that you're willing to volunteer with, I could certainly use that as well. Or perhaps all you have is your treasure. I could certainly use the contribution. I'm asking that everyone who supports this campaign give $26 per month to represent 2026 and the difference that we're going to make together. Because while we've all heard that campaigns are expensive, since I'm running one, let me just tell you directly that campaigns are wildly expensive, and it has blown me away how much money they require. And so I could certainly use your help, time, treasure, and or talent. Let's do this together. 3 things I want to accomplish when you elect me to be your next representative for CD4. Number 1, we know that the most likely reason for a minor, someone under the age of 18, to die in the United States right now is gun violence, sadly and unfortunately. And again, I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, and that includes your Second Amendment right, and I will forever fight for it. But what I noticed in the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free nation, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It does not say that you have an unlimited right to always be free of consequences whenever you choose to wield a firearm. And right now in the United States of America, it is illegal under federal law for a minor, someone under 18, to own or possess, outside of hunting specifically, a firearm. And so I'm writing the HOPE Act. It's holding our parents equally accountable. And what it will say quite simply is that if you purchase a firearm, illegally I might add, for a minor, and that minor then uses that gun that you, thank you, and that minor uses that gun to go commit a school shooting or gun violence, then the parents or the person who illegally purchased that firearm for that minor will be vicariously charged in federal court for the exact same crimes. And if the way that they got access to that weapon is because you failed to store it properly or you negligently stored it, then there will be a carve out for negligent storage where they were able to access a weapon that they should not have access to in order to go and commit that crime. I will get to the other 2 things that I want to do because this is an important question. Someone just asked, I'll ask the question literally and then interpret what I believe it's about. But America first or Israel first? And I believe that what we're referring to is not only AI PAC. I recognize that it's a greater question than that, but whether or not I would be serving the United States Constitution or the whims and will of Netanyahu. And let me say this quite clearly. Not only will I never accept AI PAC money, but I don't accept any PAC money for this campaign, this race. I only accept small dollar contributions, and I've only accepted it from individual people like you good people who are watching right now. Beyond that, I believe that every single country in this world, I suppose, has the right to defend itself. But I believe that what Israel is doing is genocide, full stop. And until they stop with their genocide, the United States must stop all financial and military support to Israel. We should not be complicit in their war crimes, not to mention the fact that we're in Iran unconstitutionally dropping bombs alongside Israel. And that's its own issue that I strongly disagree with. But I absolutely am America first. And I believe that we should not be supporting a country that supports war crimes, etc. The question here is, and it's referring to my first thing I want to do, the HOPE Act is, sorry, it just got away from me. Why would someone be liable for somebody else's crime when they didn't direct them to do that? So this is specifically referring to minors, children, who have been purchased, for whom someone has purchased them a firearm. The reason that person will be held liable is because it is illegal. It is against the law to purchase a firearm for a minor. So why should that person be able to claim, I didn't direct them to do that, or I'm not the one who shot up that school, when they directly, against the law, provided the weapon that was used to commit that crime? I refuse that narrative. There are far too many people getting access to guns because their parents are buying it for them, or because their parents know that they have a mental health or other issue and are still allowing that child access to a firearm. And that is the crime that I am going after. I will not sit idly by and support the continuing massacre of America's children. It is time that our children be able to run, play, and learn, not learn how to hide from an active shooter. The second thing that I plan to tackle whenever you elect me to the United States Congress, I call it the DNA Act, and it stands for Doctors, Not Accountants. Just reading a question really quickly. If you could okay, so let's go here really quickly. So I'm not really sure what the first point is, but what law and provision says what I claim? So you'll have to go to the Department of Alcohol, ATF, Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. They have regulations that limit ownership of firearms by minors. It is a federal law that minors shall not own guns. That is a simple fact. And if you disagree with that, then let's talk about that would be the executive. We could also pass a law in Congress, but at the end of the day, it is illegal, and I'm just trying to ensure that our children are able to go to school and not be worried about whether or not they're going to go home that evening. But back to the DNA Act, Doctors, Not Accountants. What I see too often is stories where a doctor has said that you need a particular course of treatment, that you need to get cancer treatment, a surgery, whatever it may be. And then an insurance company comes in and denies that. Well, that is called practicing medicine. And insurance companies are not your doctor. They are an insurance company. And at the end of the day, what that means is that you have paid the premiums. You are a subscriber to that insurance plan. And it is incumbent upon that insurance company to pay the bill when it comes due. It is not their job to practice medicine. And the Doctors, Not Accountants, the DNA Act will simply say that if an insurance company wants to override medical advice that a doctor has given you, then it's going to need to use 2 duly licensed physicians who have taken the Hippocratic Oath in order to override that medical advice. No more accountants or bookkeepers or account managers getting to choose what medicine you receive in the United States of America. It is time that we put your health as a priority in front of the profits of insurance companies, because United Healthcare did more than, are you ready for this? $10 billion in stock buybacks in 2025. That is your insurance premiums that they have refused to pay, that they're using to increase the value of investor net worth, purchase private jets, take a look, and so on and so forth. It is time that insurance, which means risk, by the way, is reallocated to allow both parties to assume a risk. If you are a premium payer, then you deserve to have your medical insurance paid when the bill comes due. And the third thing that I would like to accomplish, and this is probably a much bigger challenge than the other two, but well, I'm up for a challenge. One thing that I'm very proud of here in Oklahoma is our single subject rule. So if you're not familiar with it, that's perfectly fine. In Oklahoma, our state constitution has a single subject provision, which simply says that if a bill wants to make it through the Oklahoma legislature and be signed into law by the Oklahoma governor, and it wants to be constitutional, that it can only be about a single subject, whether that's about one tax increase or one tax repeal, whether it's about one agency being created or one new criminal law, whatever the case may be, it can only be about a single subject. What that means is that there's no special interest riders, there's no provisions getting tacked on, and there's no special interest sentences being randomly plugged into the middle of a law that have nothing to do with that law, because under the Oklahoma Constitution, that is just an unconstitutional law, and the entire thing would be stricken if that were to happen. Clearly, the federal government is not subject to that same requirement, and I quite frankly believe that it should be. If we look at what was signed into law on the 4th of July, 2025, the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, it had over 1,000 provisions in it, in a single bill. In the state of Oklahoma, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That would be unconstitutional. And I want, if the federal government wants to pass each of those items, then fine, let it do so. It just needs to vote on each line item separately and individually, because you and I, we the people, We deserve to know how our senators and representatives are voting on every single provision that goes into law, every single tax, every single military expenditure, every single agency creation, dismantlement, um, education, whatever it may be. We deserve to have transparency, and we deserve to be able to hold our elected officials accountable. And I want the single subject rule imposed upon the federal government because I do not believe that it is a bad thing when government has to actually debate the merits of a bill, and when it is slowed down by these types of restrictions that, for example, only a single subject. That is good for the United States whenever it requires us to actually compromise, come to the table, sit down and have discussions on how we can best benefit the people of the United States. Because what we have right now is something very different. Instead of, is this bill good for the United States? We have, I will vote for your bill if you will insert this provision that benefits my district into your bill, and they have nothing to do with each other. Fine, vote on those independently, but I am tired of 1,000-page bills that we simply cannot read because they were not meant to be read, that are changing our lives in a way that we can do nothing about it. It's time again to hold the federal government accountable and force it to be transparent. Quick recap so far. I opened with talking about my 1,000-mile bike ride through the desert back in 2015. Told you that my name is Mitchell Jacob, and I'm your favorite candidate for the United States Congress. I'm running for Oklahoma's 4th, and I'm running to unseat Tom Cole. In fact, I encourage you right now, go to retiretom.com. That was retiretom.com, and learn more about what you can do to get involved, to make a difference right here in this district, in this state, and in this country, because we can do it together. The three things that I'm running on: number one, strict adherence to the Constitution. It's time that this administration be reminded that the Constitution is a foundational document of this United States. It is not a set of guidelines, and it's not a set of suggestions that they get to disagree with or ignore whenever they choose. Number two, the greatest long-term threat to our democracy right now, in my opinion, is our exploding federal debt. The United States Treasury just released a report that as of the passing of the One Big Beautiful Bill on July 4th of last year, 2025, that the United States is officially, as a country, insolvent. What that means is if it were a company or a person, the United States of America would be bankrupt. But insolvency at this level means that the United States is obligated every single month to pay more in obligations than it rakes in tax or other revenue. And we have an imbalance such that even before we do a single amount of discretionary spending, we're already borrowing money every single year going forward. It's time that we reverse that. It's time to get fiscal discipline back in the United States of America. And number three for me, that it's time that this country treat education like an investment and stop treating it like an expense. Expenses you try to cut. Investments, you do what is necessary to have the greatest return on that investment. And our children, your children, quite frankly, deserve to be treated as the investment that they are. They're our future. They are our single most valuable asset. And it seems right now that we're trying to stifle growth. We're trying to hold them back. And let me just say this: if we're going to mandate that every single child in the United States of America go to school every single day, well, we have reports that it would only cost about $20 billion per year to feed every single one of them free lunch and free breakfast. And I'm fully in support of that because this administration gave $75 billion to the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, to just wear masks and terrorize this country. And I'd rather see that money invested in feeding the children who are going to school every day to learn, to grow, and to advance in their lives. And that leads me to what I want to accomplish when you elect me to be your next representative for Oklahoma's 4th District. Really quickly, before I get into these, start dropping your questions. Let me answer what you want to hear after I finish recapping what I want to accomplish. I'm here for you. This is our conversation, not my town hall, and I want to know what I can answer to for you. But three things I want to accomplish. Number one, I want to pass the HOPE Act, the Holding Our Parents Equally Accountable Act, which will simply say that if someone illegally purchases a firearm for a minor and gives that to them, and they use that firearm to go commit a school shooting, mass shooting, whatever the case may be, then that person will be held vicariously liable in federal court for the exact same crimes that that minor is charged with. Number two, the DNA Act, Doctors Not Accountants Act, will simply say that health insurance companies must stop practicing medicine. Excuse me. That health insurance companies, whenever a doctor writes a prescription or a course of treatment, that it is upon them, the insurance company, to pay for that treatment and to stop denying coverage because you are too expensive. You're worth it, and it's time that we stop putting profits over life, that we stop putting profits over your health, and that we hold insurance to exactly what it is. Insurance as a word means risk. And the risk right now all falls on the patient when it is past time that the risk be equally allocated between the patient and the insurance company. But that is not happening. And so I want to pass the DNA Act, Doctors Not Accountants. And number three, one thing I want to accomplish, again, drop your questions because I'm almost done with my recap and I want to know what is most important to you. I want to pass the single subject rule at the federal level. And all that that will mean is that if the United States Congress wants to pass, for example, that big, beautiful bill again, fine. You may do that, but you need to vote on each one of those provisions separately as an individual line item and stop allowing these mega or omnibus bills to pass through the United States Congress. Each item needs to be voted on separately because you and I deserve transparency. And we should be able to hold our representatives and senators accountable for every single thing that they vote on in the Congress. All right, I'm going to get some water. Give me 1 second. I saw someone post just a moment ago, so bear with me. Thank you for the support. I appreciate that, and I see it in here. So someone says here, I'm a fan of cross-state national open concealed carry. I don't have any particular, I support the Second Amendment. I swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution. That includes the Second Amendment. That's not an issue that I have. I support your right to carry and to bear arms because that is your constitutional right. What I'm talking about is responsible gun ownership as it applies to parents and their children. Those are separate concepts. If you have a constitutional carry or a, what do we call that, a concealed carry license, excuse me, then absolutely carry that firearm. Be responsible with it. I support you. Give me a shout. Let's go to the gun range together. I love to shoot firearms. Let's do it together. What I'm concerned with is the rate. I hope you are too. The most likely cause of death in the United States of America for a minor is gun violence. That is the concern. It is not whether or not you are carrying a weapon that you have a constitutional right to carry. The issue is, how do we protect our children who are at school to learn, play, and grow so that they don't have to keep doing active shooter drills, so that teachers do not have to worry about whether or not they are going to be able to keep their students safe that day, so that parents can stop worrying about whether their child is coming home that evening. And so the Holding Our Parents Equally Accountable Act, the HOPE Act, will try to address that at its root, at its core. That is the dynamic where parents are giving their minor children weapons that are then being used to commit crimes. That is the crux of the issue, and that is what the HOPE Act will target because it is against the law for a minor to own a firearm in the United States of America. And there have been chats in, things in here about transfers of ownership of weapons, but that misses the point. The point is not whether or not once my child turns 18, I can transfer that weapon to them. Yes, of course that is true. But it is not true that you get to give a 12-year-old a weapon. That is against the law, and that is not what the point. The Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia, being necessary for the security of a free nation, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It doesn't say anything about children. It doesn't say anything about minors. It does say protection of a country, but it does not say that your child gets to take a gun to school and that is a constitutional right. Absolutely not. And I cannot support that, and I will not support it. And that is why I'm a proponent of the HOPE Act as I have been writing it, holding our parents equally accountable. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Drop your questions. If you're on YouTube, I'm going to have to check over there in 1 second, or on Facebook. I can't see from where I'm sitting, but give me 1 second to drink some water, write your questions, and I'll come and answer a few in just a second. Bear with me. Okay, all right. So one of the questions was about the size of the district, and one of the questions is about the probability of a blue wave. Let's start with the size of the district, because I think it surprises people a lot when they hear it. So CD4, right here in good old Oklahoma, stretches all the way from South 89th Street in Oklahoma City to the Texas border. And then it goes from Ada's in Pontotoc County, all the way over to Stevens County, Duncan area. It is huge. It is 14 counties, 13 entire counties plus part of Oklahoma County, up through the Tinker area. As you can imagine, that's a lot of people. And in fact, CD4 is nearly 800,000 people. Yes, 800,000 people and 14 counties. That's why I need your help. Whether you live in Stevens County, Murray County, Love, Tillman, Jefferson, Garvin, McLean, Pontotoc, Oklahoma, Cleveland, there's so many counties. If you live in any of those, I need your help too. Let's knock some doors together. Reach out. My phone number, I'll read it in 1 second. I'll give you my cell phone. So prepare to copy if you would like that. But reach out and I can put you in touch with my field team. We can knock doors together. I'll come to you. You can come to me, whatever works best. I need your help because I'm trying to reach our neighbors. I'm trying to hold this administration accountable. I'm trying to put one of the people, someone like you and someone like me, into a federal seat again, because I'll tell you quite frankly, Tom Cole is not one of the people anymore. He's worth more than $5 million. He does not know what it's like to worry about gas hitting, what is it, $4.50 per gallon average across the United States of America. That doesn't matter to him. But you know what? I'm a government employee with 5 kids and a stay-at-home wife. I certainly feel the crunch of the same inflationary pressures that you're experiencing. Gas is going up. That's coming more out of my pocket. Groceries are going up, and I have 8 mouths in my family because I have some family who lives, in my home because some family members live with me. I certainly feel how expensive food is becoming. The price of cars is going up. The price of college tuition is going up. I have a freshman at OU right now, and my goodness, I'm very aware of how expensive that is and how much that's taking away from my pocketbook. So if you agree with me that it's time for one of the people, someone like us, someone who pays a mortgage and works for a living and lives paycheck to paycheck, then let's do it together, because I'm not a rich man, but I am one of the people who does live paycheck to paycheck, who's throwing his hat in the ring because I believe that I have the experience, I have the education, and I have certainly the drive to make a difference, to improve the world around me. And I'm willing to fight on your behalf because I love you, because you're an American, because you're my neighbor. And I don't need anything else to do that. I work as a public defender. So 1, you can imagine the salary, but 2, I work on behalf of low-income criminal defendants whom in many cases society has either forgotten or chosen to ignore, because they are my fellow countrymen, because they are my neighbors, because they live in the same community as me. And I refuse to let your constitutional right, whether that be your right to counsel in this particular case, or your right to free speech, your right to petition, to organize, your right against unreasonable searches and seizures, your right, whatever it may be. I'm here to fight for your right to vote, my friends. They're trying to take that away from you. And I'm here to fight because I want to ensure that this democracy is here for your children and my children. 405-407-6975. I'll read that again in 1 second. That is my personal cell. My email is, I hope it's easy, Mitch@mitchelljacob.com. My name is spelled right there, and my phone number again is 405-407-6975. Please don't call me right now, you'll interrupt the stream, but that's my cell phone. And it rings right to my pocket. It doesn't go, I don't even have a campaign phone number per se, just my cell phone. And I'm here because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, my friends. I'm here because I'm the type of person who will only complain one time about what is going on, about an issue, about a problem, before I believe that it is my responsibility to step up to the plate and do what I can to make a difference in that issue, in that sphere, in this world, whatever it is we're talking about. And I just got tired of sitting around complaining about what's going on in our country. And so I'm running to do something about what's going on in our country. But again, there are almost 800,000 people in this district. I cannot do it without your help, without your assistance, and without your support. So whether it's your time, come door knock with me, come make phone calls with me, whether it's your talent, do you have a special skill? Are you a CPA or a coder or I'm pigeonholed in my thoughts right now. Sorry about that. But do you have a special talent that you can use to help the campaign and make a difference with me? Or perhaps you have treasure. Can you write a check, my friends? P.O. Box 1141, Newcastle, Oklahoma 73065. You can send checks there, mitchelljacob.com. You can find more about me. In fact, I'll take a moment to do a shout out for my blog, Straight from Mitch. I've lost count. We're on week 35, 36, something like that. But every single Sunday, first Wednesday of every month, I post a blog about a variety of different topics at this point. But what I've written about the gamut from wages to small business to immigration to criminal justice, education, whatever the case may be. There's a slew of topics for you to learn about and see where I stand. And I do not believe in being the most polished person or having just the most perfect talking points. And so they are just raw. They are my thoughts, my view, my vision, the way that I approach the world. And you can learn a lot about me right there. So on the website, if you're on a computer, it will be at the very top. If you're on mobile, you have to scroll down until you see my picture, but it's called Straight from Mitch, and you can learn a lot about my beliefs. But I need your help to do this. Again, 800,000 people. And so the next question was, what is the likelihood of a blue wave? And all I can say to that is, if it's ever going to happen, right now is the time. We know that this administration, let me say that a different way. Mr. Trump has never had so little support in his career. This Congress has never had such low approval ratings in the teens in history. And it's time to do something about it. And I am one of you. I am a fourth generation Okie. I was one of 9 children. I started my career like so many. I was first I worked concessions at a movie theater and then a dishwasher. I've done roadside assistance. I've been a bar back, a bus boy, you name it. In 2010, I went to Tulane University in New Orleans, but I was a college dropout because allowing an 18-year-old to pick a $56,000 per year private institution was one of life's greater jests. And so I had to drop out for financial reasons. Tulane refused to release my transcript. And so I just restarted at community college. While I was earning those degrees, starting with my associate's degree, I first got a job in 2012 selling mortgages. This was HARP 2.0, right after the collapse, helping people get out of underwater or mortgages with really high interest rates. It was actually really good, and I was really proud of that work. However, it was fully commission based, and it turns out I cannot stand sales. So it is kind of ironic that I'm running for office. But from there, I transitioned to becoming a personal banker, and then I went on to earn my 763 and become a stockbroker. My battery is getting low, so I'm going to have to wrap this up soon. I do apologize, but to become a stockbroker. However, when I was 13, I made a promise to myself that I too would someday serve my country. And so at the ripe young age of 25, because I was getting old by the Army standards, I quit my job as a stockbroker and I enlisted as a private in the Army. And I served for 5.5 years. Sorry, TikTok doesn't think I'm still here. 1 second. And so I served for 5.5 years as a cryptologic linguist. I speak modern standard Arabic, had the pleasure of being attached to and deploying with 5th Special Forces Group Airborne out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. During my time in the Army, I earned 2 associate's degrees and a bachelor's degree. And all I ever wanted, that doesn't matter. But then when I got out of the Army, I was accepted into OU Law. And I had the pleasure of earning my law degree, my Juris Doctor from OU Law. And again, excuse me, today I felt that it was important that I give back to the same country that allowed me so many opportunities, the country that invested in me, and the country that allowed me to be the man, father, and husband that I am today. And so I am a public defender, and I work for the state of Oklahoma, supporting OU Boomer Sooner, supporting low-income criminal defendants in the most difficult days of their life, truly. And I'm proud to do it. It's hard work. And as you can imagine, it is very difficult to be a public defender and a candidate for federal office, racing around 14 counties. But I'm happy to do this because I truly believe that we can make a difference together. I truly believe that there's a shot to win this and to put a person, someone just like you and me, one of the people, back into federal office. And so that's why I'm here. Thank you so much for joining tonight. If you have any questions, again, mitch@mitchelljacob.com, send me an email. 405-407-6975. Give me a call or shoot me a text. I'll read that again in just a moment. Come join me for door knocking. Go to No Kings this Saturday, March 28th. I know in CD4, how about this? Go to mobilize.us, and anywhere in the United States, you should be able to find a No Kings near you. If you can't find it on there, go to Indivisible's website. That's Indivisible, and that's the organization who not hosts them, but organizes all these protests, and you can find a protest that's local to you. 405-407-6975. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for caring, and let's win this thing together. Good night.